Option 1.
All right, so for this first one, we are basically creating a locking belt. Now, I would suggest something like a combination lock. The reason is a lock that uses a key means that when you lock it, you're going to have to hold on to this key, and you're also going to have to hide this key, which basically means that somebody might be able to find your key, or you might lose it, and then it's going to be really hard to get the pants off, which could be a problem, especially if you are using the restroom. They still could be used though, but personally I'm going to use a combination lock. Now there are many types of belts, but I choose the ones with these eyelets. It's harder to rip the belt and it doesn't get worn out as fast. Alright, so how this works. Let's say you normally wear your belt like this. What we're gonna do, and there are a couple ways to do this, I'll show you. We're gonna take our combination lock. Remember, change the combination once you get it. They all start off as 0, 0, 0. But for right now, I'll just show you how it works. All right. And I would probably suggest a smaller one. It is kind of annoying to deal with the longer one. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through in one of these little eyelet holes, out at the top, around that buckle part, and then back through and down right here, down and out, and you're going to fit it back into the lock. Now, you'll change the combination so that now this is indeed locked. And, of course, only keep the combination to yourself. So, you're going to go in through one of these holes, out up here, around the buckle, back through, and then back out here. This is if you're okay with the lock being outside of your pants. Maybe you put some kind of cover over it, or you have your shirt over it. It does make it a little easier to access this lock. All right, and so basically this is so that if somebody tries to remove your belt, they can't get it off. And make sure to test this. Make sure to, basically try and take the belt off, and does it still hold, or does this get wider? Now, in order to get this off, what you do is you put in that combination. Here it's 4 zeros. And if you're using the restroom, you can just take off half of it, part of it, undo the belt, take it off. Now, what you don't want to do, especially with a long one like this, is put it in where it's too short. So basically, I'm putting it through, I normally put it in through this hole. I'm putting it in through the top one. I'm putting it in through the one that's a bit higher. It goes up and around. Now, see how much extra length we've got here? We don't want that, because if somebody tries to remove this belt, they can just pull this up, and now they've got all this extra space here, where you used to have the belt here. Now they can pull it up, and your belt might be now wide enough that they can pull the pants down, and you don't want that. So do make sure that, especially with these longer locks, that you're putting it in to make the belt tight enough that you cannot remove the pants. All right, so let's say though you want the lock on the inside of your on the inside of your belt towards your pants. So what we would do here is, instead of having the lock on the outside, we're going to go in through the back. And again, just really loop it. right, so here we've got it in the back. This hides it a little better. It's a little less noticeable. The lock is back here. It comes out through one of these eyelets, goes up and behind the belt, and then goes back down and out through this hole. Again, do not forget to change up the combination. As you can see, it'd be a bit hard to take it off. Another thing to keep in mind is the size of your lock, especially this top part. Not all of them can go through a lot of eyelets. As you can see, this one just can't make it through. And that's why I tend to go with these thinner cable ones. Now, if you got one of these, you might be able to make this one work. It is small enough to go through the eyelet. But I do have a lot of trouble getting it on there well. It is a bit of a pain to get on, and it's just a bit more noticeable sticking up there. But in a pinch, it's definitely an option. I would put my shirt over it. Let's say you have a belt with just single holes instead of the double ones like we were dealing with before. You have the lock go through the back. Okay, and sometimes you're going to have to go through the hole above where you normally buckle your belt. And then we have it go back down through the lock. And again, always test. As you can see, you can't get it off. Right. And the only problem with this belt is that there are no eyelets, so you're going to have some wear and tear on the belt. Now we're going to go over the pros and cons of option 1. This option is the cheapest option, and it's the one that you're most likely to have all of the things you need to make it on hand. Now, one con is that it is harder to hide the lock with this option. Some of the next options will have better ways to hide that lock. Now, one thing you need to consider with every single option here is that the harder it is for an attacker to remove your belt, the harder it is for you to remove it in case something goes wrong. And also the harder it is for a hospital or emergency services to remove the belt in case you are in some sort of accident. So we'll be covering how someone might break open this belt in each option so that you can consider that when it comes to your own personal safety. In this option, the belt can be removed by cutting the belt loops, which are those loops on the pants which hold the belt up, cutting or breaking the lock itself, or cutting the pants. It is important to remember that with all of these options, they give you time when you freeze. So if somebody attacks you and you can't think and you're frozen, these give you time because they confuse your attacker and make it harder for them to remove your pants. Another thing to consider is evidence in case something does happen. Again, these options are not 100% capital R proof, but if you are attacked, you can use broken belt loop, etc. as physical evidence that something happened, just so you know, or if you're trying to use it in a case, now you have some evidence. A positive here is that attackers really don't want to leave evidence. Most of the time, the attacker is someone you know. If they are trying to capital R you, they want you to forget and have no evidence that it happened. With any of these options, they might think twice about doing this because of the evidence that they are going to leave behind when they try and break through the belt. Also, they don't really bank on having to figure all this out. They may just decide it's too much effort or can't figure out how to get it off in the first place. Thanks for listening, and let me know what you think. Now, with all my videos on my channel, feel free to share them. You can put them on your own channel or make your own take on these designs. All I ask is that you add a link or so to my channel and or other videos, just so that as I make these videos, your audience can see the other options, the other videos, so they don't have to go around the internet trying to find the rest of this. I hate that. So please leave the links in the description or in a comment that you pin to the top.